Okay, and then I'm going to take some white and I'm going to mix it. I'm going to put some over here, sort of next to the red on my palette. And then I'm going to take some, mix it sort of together like this. All right, and then I'm just going to sort of blend it here. And the trick is to try to get a really nice smooth gradation or value change and see just sort of, it's a nice skill to practice, trying to get a smooth transition of white to sort of like this pinky color. And you can do this with blue, or you can mix up any color that you want and just try to get a nice smooth transition. And this is a great skill to have because you'll see usually in objects that are round, you'll see kind of a transition going around an object. When light sort of wraps around an object, you'll see kind of like this smooth transition of color or light that wraps around an object. So that's kind of what I want you to practice here, and just play around with how to make that kind of like mixture happen. So here I'm dipping sort of like back into my white. And you can make this very smooth if you want. You can, play around with mixing on your palette and mixing on your paper, kind of doing both. This is a great technique too to use like on flesh tones, because you don't want flesh tones, generally speaking. Sometimes you want them to be kind of like smooth transitional looks. All right, now the next thing I'm going to do to make this kind of color go dark is I'm going to use the red here again, and then I'm going to add this dark color, which is blue. Blue is a really dark color, or you can even choose violet. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of yellow in there because that's going to darken it some more. And what I'm trying to do is get this red to go from a really bright red to a dark color over here that is slightly red. So I'm just going to put kind of like this very dark color. You can use black for this, but it takes the color dark super, super fast. And black oftentimes really overpowers a painting. So I'm going to ask you to try not to use straight up black. All right, now I'm going to rinse this brush out again. Remember to knock all the paint out on the bottom using my paper towel to kind of dry the brush off. And then I'm just going to take a mixture here, try to mix the two together. So I'm doing this kind of like smooth transition, practicing, practicing, practicing. All right, so I'll get a little bit of that bluey, blacky blue color sort of mixed in there. And then I'm going to mix some in my palette, see how that looks, and see if I can't get a nice smooth transition, sort of like what I did here. Sometimes you might want to have your paint going the same direction. Kind of leave that up to you. I'm going to come back in here and pick up some more of that blacky blue. I'm going to rinse my brush again, and then I want to go straight up red over here and see if I can't make this transition a little more smooth. Yeah, got too much water in my brush, and sometimes that can be a pain. All right, so I'm actually really happy with how that turned out. All right, so the next thing that you might want to try is just a complementary color mix. And I think I'm just going to do, since I kind of went with a lot of red and blue and green and all that right there, I think what I'm going to do is just do an orange and blue mixture. All right, so I'm going to take all of this yellow, I'm going to put it back in here, and I'm going to mix it with some red. And I want to go kind of slow so it doesn't overpower. Just another great color tip is whenever you're mixing with a light color, add the darker color to it. Instead of trying to take yellow and mix it into the red, always start with kind of like your light color and then gradually, real slowly mix the other color in. All right, so this is going to be my complementary color mix and blend, just to kind of see what happens. Ooh, that's a lovely orange. I'm loving that. All right, so I'm going to only take it about halfway. Again, rinsing my brush out, and again, this is complementary color. Complementary. I think I spelled that right. And then I'm going to take the blue, I'm going to put it straight up blue right down here. And then again, I'm going to try for that gradation because, again, it's just a really nice skill to have, is gradation and knowing how to gradually blend your colors for a variety of needs. All right, so then I'm going to take some of that orange, put it over here on my palette. Again, I got too much water in my brush. It's kind of a hard thing to control. All right, and then I'm just going to take some of this blue and mix it with the orange. And again, the blue is so dark, I'm just going to gradually sort of mix it in and just kind of see what happens here. And you can kind of see it looks very greeny sort of right now, kind of brownish greeny. I'm going to take some more orange, go straight up orange, and see if I can't get a more gradual transition going here. And again, just trying to like control my colors. Go back and forth again, get a little more blue mixed in. All right, so what happens is I'm really desaturating the color. The color does not look very bright anymore once you mix in its complement. All righty, and then I'm just gonna work on some of my brush skills here. I actually kind of like this little paintery look. So that's also something you can kind of discover. You can work the paint thick, you can work it thin. All right, so basically that is it for this tutorial. I hope you'll find that you're developing your skill and that you will try this wonderful medium called acrylic.